Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy and could not be more happy to be here alongside the one and only Joe Stanley. Welcome to you, Jacqui Felgate, Dr Nick Carr. Good to see the whole team.
Good to see you, Darcy.
You know, I'm very happy to be here too, Darcy, which is in sync with the 2023 World Happiness Report that's just come out, and it found that the world on the whole has come out of the pandemic feeling resilient and we're all feeling just as satisfied with life as we were pre-COVID.
Isn't that interesting?
That's nice.
And on that happiness theme, Finland, once again, it's the 6th time in a row that they've been voted the happiest nation on earth, female Prime Minister. New Zealand came in at number 10 and Australia, the lucky country, well, we were at number 12.
Well, Jack, the Happiness Report is more than just a bit of fun because its aim is to help policymakers and governments help society by making happiness and well-being an absolute global priority.
What about the country of Bhutan, who actually measure happiness with a gross happiness index? And that is our focus for today, particularly when it comes to ageing. And did you know Australians have the longest life expectancy, amongst the longest life expectancy in the world? And by 2050, a quarter of all Australians are going to be 65 years of age and older.
Well, David Attenborough, one of my faves, he's still saving the world and he's about to turn 97. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely amazing. How about this? I love this woman, 76-year-old Jacqui. She is an absolute fashion icon.
Yes.
She recently had a major exhibit in the Sydney Festival. She's an Instagram influencer and, of course, has been making beautiful fashion for 50 years.
And they're both great examples of how keeping up your passion, your creativity and your zest for living is really good for keeping the mind healthy, which is the #1 thing, keeping the grey matter active. We've all had those moments, that tip of the tongue thing. Who was that actor in that film? It's that... Oh, gone. And as we get older, these moments tend to worry us more. Is this the start of the slippery slope? Forgetfulness sliding inexorably into something worse? When we're young, our brains are like an endless series of highways and byways, brightly lit, and anything is possible. But as we age, the weeds start to grow. And if we keep travelling down the same few paths, the others risk being taken over by the jungle and becoming lost, inaccessible, lights out. So to keep the jungle at bay, we need to step off our safe, familiar paths to find the new ones. And here are some tips to do just that. Hopeless at dancing? No problem. Now's the time to learn. Moving to a rhythm, learning new steps is a great way of connecting nerves and muscles. Even just practicing balancing on one leg is really helpful. Too easy? Try it with your eyes shut. Oh! Then there's the incredible power of words and language. Memorise a poem, recite it to your lover from the heart. Or take up crosswords. Start with the quicks and work your way up. By the time you've mastered the cryptics, you'll have opened so many paths, you might even get lost. If you're right-handed, the left side of the brain gets a good workout while the other side has a bit of a snooze. So why not wake it up by making the left hand do things it doesn't want to? Carry the shopping, mouse, shave with the wrong hand. Not easy. Or try writing or brushing your teeth with your left hand. Whoa, that's hard. Perfect. But why work just one side of the brain when we can exercise both at the same time? Great. Learn to juggle. Proven to increase brain connections. Oh! So, get to work. Hack your way through the jungle to open up those new paths. Just remember to hold your machete in the wrong hand.
Dr. Nick, I love your analogy about the brain having all sorts of paths, and if you don't use it, it's like weeds will come all the way along them.
Well, that's very kind of you, Jack, but I really mean it. Anyone over the age of 60 should absolutely take up something new and challenge their mind.
Just like 85-year-old Shirley Curry. She's an American great-grandmother who's a gamer. Would you believe it? And on YouTube, her videos have got over 1 million hits.
I love Shirley. Or what about 91-year-old Colorado man John Jacqui, who has just become the oldest person to cross the Grand Canyon on foot, of course, setting a world record.
What a legend, John. Congratulations to you at 91 years of age. You always say that you've either got to use it or lose it. And the great news is there's plenty of different ways to train your brain to live a longer and more joyful life.
Studies have shown that your belief about ageing drives your health and longevity. So By developing this belief about ageing, meaning that you actually love ageing, actually will contribute to having health. After interviewing 100-year-olds and 110-year-olds that were living healthy, not unhealthy, was their belief about ageing. They would say, "Can't wait to show you my garden in 3 years' time." So they had no relationship to time and space about ageing. They were just living in the moment. So, for example, there's a guy that was feeling decrepit and old at 89. He just started weight training. He ended up winning the world record for a 200-metre sprint at 92. And if you just go and do the search on centenarians and super centenarians, meaning 100 years old and 110 years old, and see what they're doing, you'll see that they're doing new things. They start fencing in their 80s, as an example. They might be still riding their bike at 100, or they'll be taking up new activities because the brain needs a lot of novelty, and it doesn't need to be doing less, it actually needs to be doing more as you get older. So what you start to see people doing as they're ageing is they start taking things out of their life, thinking that they shouldn't be doing that now at 60 or 70 or whatever age it is, even 40. Rather than building new things in, I should be taking up art. I should be, going and doing new things that I've never done before. I could learn a language. You can absolutely do that. I should go and travel to South America and learn Spanish. Even though it sounds really scary, when you push up against those factors, you're actually driving brain plasticity. The brain needs a lot of novelty to grow. It's all about your mindset and belief system. And take that 10 seconds, take a deep breath, and ask yourself the question, do I want to age well? Do I want to have a long and happy life? Do I want to live, or do I want to survive?
Hey, Nick, I read with interest that recently that dementia is overtaking heart disease as the so-called disease burden for over 65 years of age. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's true, Das. And in fact, dementia deaths have increased a whopping 61% in the last 10 years or so. So keeping our minds healthy and active as we age is becoming a prime concern.
Well, today we really are celebrating the golden years and how to stay happy and healthy well into them. And Jo, you've been looking into aged care nutrition.
Yeah, and the news really isn't great, with appalling food and malnutrition in many residential homes. But one leading Australian dietitian is on a push to change that. That's next.
Now, Jo, you're probably way too young to remember the Milk in Schools programme.
I am way too young for that, Nick.
Well, it was certainly a thing here in Australia and in the UK. And in fact, Margaret Thatcher, when she was the health minister, was dubbed the milk snatcher when she ceased the programme back in the 70s.
Well, I'm of a generation of Aussie kids who would rush home from school and I would smash a giant glass of milk with Milo. That's what got me through my school years. But, I feel like that trend is kind of changing a little bit.
Yeah, well, you're right, Jo, because the latest agribusiness figures show that Australia's milk consumption has dropped 13% in the last decade, and that's actually reflected across all Western economies.
Well, I think that breakfast habits have changed quite a lot. Plus, there's lots of different choices now. You've got soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk. All of the nuts are making milk now, it seems. But having said that, Aussies are still some of the biggest milk drinkers in the world.
Now, today we're actually focusing on positive ageing. But when it comes to the food that we're serving to our seniors in residential settings, sadly, the news is not so good.
No, the recent Royal Commission into Aged Care found that up to half of residents were malnourished, or 1 in 10 were continuously losing weight.
Yeah, and those are really sobering figures, aren't they, Jo? Because everyone deserves good nutrition, but particularly our very young and the old.
Well, I caught up with the Australian dietitian who's part of a big push to get quality food into aged care.
Gemma, when families put their loved ones into aged care, one of the things they obviously assume is that they're going to get beautiful, nutritious food. But that's not always the case, is it? What is the reality?
What we know is 1 in 10 residents are experiencing unplanned weight loss, and up to 50% of residents may be malnourished. So this is a real issue in aged care. We know that not every resident is getting the nourishing food that they really deserve. Residents in aged care require actually more protein than most Australian adults, and that's to make sure their muscles stay strong, that they're healthy and that they're not, deteriorating. And so it's really important that residents are getting enough protein and energy and vitamins and minerals every single day. You don't get that in a party pie or a sausage roll. You get that in a nutritionally balanced meal. And we know there's examples of aged care facilities who are doing amazing things, who are serving the balanced meals, but we know that that's not the case with all homes across Australia.
How does it impact the residents when their food is not nourishing enough?
They can become malnourished and lose weight. They can have a fall or a fracture. They can end up in hospital and potentially die. We need a dietitian in every aged care facility right now, not only seeing the residents one-on-one as they need to be, but also overseeing the overall menu and making sure that the meals are nutritionally adequate, that they're signing off, that the menu is balanced.
And I imagine also a dietitian would be able to assess if someone's on medication that could be affecting their appetite or how food sits with them. A dietitian should be able to help.
100%. I mean, the requirements are varied, and this is something that dietitians are trained in, to know what is the right texture for a particular resident's needs. Residents have 6 opportunities every day where they get to nourish their bodies, and they look forward to these 6 opportunities, and it's a time for socialisation, a time for them to come together with their friends and enjoy a meal together. This is the finale of their life. This is, something they really look forward to, their meals. So we really want to do them proud and serve them good food.
I mean, Nick, you wouldn't give your kids party pies as a part of their regular meal. So why would this be okay for the senior members of our family?
Yeah, you're right, Jo, but I do kind of get it, because budget concerns and staff shortages, they're a big part of the problem. But the good news is there's a growing grey movement of workers in the workplace, maybe part of the solution.
It's called the Great Unretirement, where many over 50s are either staying at work longer or returning to the workforce.
And it turns out that the over 55s, like me, make up around about 20% of the national workforce. And we're not quite ready to down tools just yet, Jo.
And it makes sense, Nick, with so many of us living longer and with so much pep in our step, it's a great time to welcome seniors into the workforce.
Well, look, I'm 68 and I've still got plenty of spring in my step, and I decided that perhaps there's a lot of other people in my age bracket that were still fit and healthy, and I should target market them.
After COVID, Barry Iddle struggled to find staff for his restaurant and catering business. So he appealed to the local seniors.
So on the postcard it was, juniors, come and we'll teach you the art of hospitality. Millennials, come and show us what you can do, because they know everything. And seniors, come back to the workforce 1 or 2 shifts a week. So I got probably 12. Oh, morning, Mark.
Hello, Barry.
Ready for your shift?
Oh, raring to go.
I don't think there's any age that's too old. I think when people are active and believe they still want to contribute, they should be allowed to.
I decided to apply for this job because I did need to supplement my income. Everything has become more expensive, groceries, bills. So anything that helps, yeah, why not?
78-year-old Marg Anderson is a retired aged care worker. This was a golden opportunity to rejoin the workforce and keep up the bodyboarding.
Margaret telephoned in, I think, 4 or 5 times. And the next time I saw a note, I said to the guys, how come you haven't called her? And they go, she's 78. And I went, well, if she's calling, she must be fit enough to dial. And I don't care if I get her in to pick parsley for a day and see how she goes. If she's fit, she's going to come back. If she's not fit, she's never coming back.
There's no chilli in the meal?
No chilli, that's
It is not just about the money, it's of the sense of having a purpose, getting out there, meeting people, being valued, being back in the workforce. I love working.
I saw the flyer and it asked for a resume, and I thought, I really can't be bothered doing a resume. And then my wife and girlfriends were down here having lunch one day, and one of the women said, oh, Ken's interested, but he won't do a resume. And apparently Barry said, just get Ken to phone me.
You going fast enough there, Ken?
I'm just trying to burn them as I speed through them, Barry. Being an older worker, I think it gives you a bit of purpose as well. I mean, I've got a good lifestyle mix now. I've got the beaches and golf course occasionally, a little bit of work, not too much to be over taxing. So yeah, it's very nice to be able to do something.
Tablecloths, cutlery, plates, knife, fork, wine glasses, water glasses, candles.
Look, I'm not kidding myself. I'm older and I'm not physically as strong as I used to be, but I don't know, you forget about that. Just being with the people I work with, meeting people. Yeah, I'm a people person, I think. I like talking as well as working hard, yeah. I'll give 110%, I really will.
They want to get out and feel valued, I think. They don't want to sit at home singing Kumbaya by the piano all day or going to tea parties. They get out here, they have an amazing interactive day. Can Ken drive the van?
Ken can drive the van.
Right, so it'd be good if Ken could actually drive to the church.
Yeah, I look forward to coming to work. But if you'd asked me that 2 weeks ago when I worked nearly full-time, 1 week, I had to have a lot of rest after that one.
It makes me feel young. I'm 78 and I'm not past my use-by date yet.
They've all got plenty of grey matter upstairs and they do an incredible job. You don't have to repeat yourself. They're really switched on.
But yeah, I do look forward to it. And they give us a very nice coffee every now and then.
Well, you know, we're very short on hospitality workers right now, Dust. Maybe that's the answer.
Well, it's become a big issue in the hospitality sector, Joe. A shortage of staff is causing a whole heap of headaches. And interestingly, 40% of the workforce that has entered in the last 12 months here in Australia are over 55. So quite a telling stat, that one in itself.
Yeah, meanwhile in Paris, the good old French have taken to the streets because the government wants to up retirement age to 67.
They love their life balance in Paris, as we know, Joe. Wouldn't be a problem here in Australia because the age pension is officially 67 years of age. So if you were born January 1957 or afterwards, you're eligible for the age pension at 67.
You know what? I love the idea of working as long as you want. I think that's really, really important, but I don't want to see people in their senior years slogging away at jobs they really don't love.
It's a good point, Joe, but I also think that idea of retiring, sometimes is that retiring from life as well, when our elderly have got so much to contribute and we underestimate the wisdom of people if they've got a bit of work and a bit of life balance. Only so much golf you can play, let's be honest, Joe.
That's true.
We're always on the lookout for some health news here on the House of Wellness, and we might have some good news for those that are scared of needles.
Well, I think it's fair to say no one actually likes a needle, Dust, but they still remain the best way to deliver into the muscle some of our necessary medicines and vaccines. But those amazing scientists in the US are now developing a way to deliver the same thing through a little puff onto the skin.
This is so interesting to me because I have a 6-year-old daughter at home, Georgia, who is utterly petrified of needles. And I was asking you earlier for your advice, Dr. Nick, but what do you do when you physically can't hold your child down because they're that petrified of getting a little jab?
Well, about the only thing you can do is hope these American scientists succeed.
That's right.
because it's supposed to be felt like something like a little Nerf dart, that foam dart going onto the arm. Not bad at all.
It's amazing, and I do love it when science does what it can and evolves to make medicine more accessible for people. It's great.
Our own Luke Hines, Joe, has got a pretty big fear of needles and went along to a virtual reality session to see if that would help. And I understand they actually, in virtual reality, showed him vision of a needle going to his virtual arm over and over again. which sounds like virtual torture. But apparently it's helped Hines.
Well, actually does. Virtual reality has been shown to help in needle phobia with kids, so there's maybe a tip for you.
Yeah.
But this is a first for adults, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, we all have that thing that's a bit of cringe factor when it comes to health, and for me, it's not needles, it's anything to do with feet.
So most people don't realise that a bunion is actually a dislocating joint. And I often say to people when they're quite distressed about the pain that it's causing, and I try to keep it in perspective for them and say, well, you can imagine if you were dislocated your thumb bone and then you hammered your thumb against a counter for 1,200 up to 10,000 steps per day, you probably wouldn't be surprised that it hurts. So what happens with this joint is it's got a muscle that pulls directly behind and a muscle that pulls directly in front, and they hold that joint in alignment. When we have any pressures that push our toes over, unfortunately, that can mean that that pull of muscle will become off centre and start to pull that toe towards the other toes. And eventually it can get so bad that this toe will actually be pulled all the way over and start to underride the other toes alongside it. Bunions are actually incredibly common. For people 65 and under, we're getting roughly a quarter of people will have bunions, but it increases as you get over 65. So once you're over 65, we're seeing over a third of the population with bunions. 2 out of 3 are female. One of the major factors behind them is the shoes that we wear. So when we think about shoes, and women's shoes compared to men's shoes have always been a little bit more of a tighter fit and generally more of a pointy toe. As a podiatrist, I have to be honest and say I've never seen a foot shape quite this pointy, but you can imagine that if you're squishing your toes into a toe box that is this narrow and this sharp, you're going to be pushing that big toe over and assisting those muscles from coming out of alignment and help dislocate that joint. If you have a look in your family and you know that you are genetically prone, so often, thinking on the female side, if you look at your mother or your grandmother on the female side, if they have bunions, then chances are it may be in your future. So what we say to people, if you are genetically prone, then try and be a bit proactive. And I know it's difficult when you're in your 20s, but try to limit at least the height of the heel that you're wearing and the pointiness. So wearing good shoes is always going to be our first port of call. The second one is sometimes if you are hypermobile, having something that helps stabilise your foot inside your shoe. So either a shoe with a very good arch support already in it, or an orthoses or a foot orthotic from a podiatrist or a like. And last but not least is foot exercises. So I have quite a few young girls that have been dancers, and unfortunately they are developing bunions. So we spend quite a bit of time with them just going through some gentle exercises to maintain the motion in both ways of their big toe. So unfortunately, once the damage has been done or you've started to develop a bunion, reversing it doesn't seem possible conservatively. So the best that we can do is slow the development down or cease the development of the bunion further. So if you're developing a bunion, please go and see someone as soon as you realise, because that's the best that we're going to be able to keep your foot at.
So bunions become more common as we age, and Jack, women who like wearing pointy high heels are most at risk.
Look, Jo, I've spent my entire life, I'm 5'0", wearing high heels. It's fashion over comfort, although I must say, Das, you've got some very fashionable shoes on there, so the tide is turning.
Well, I feel pretty lucky to be in my comfortable runners, Jack, as a rule.
You've got the gift of height as well.
Yeah, well, potentially, although Harry Styles is trying to bring in high heels for men, not that successfully.
Yeah, I remember Prince used to wear high heels. He had, for years. I
love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the fancy trainers, though, that are, the fancy trainers that are...
Probably got to be as cool as Harry Styles or Prince to think about it. Although men wearing makeup is becoming a bit of a thing, isn't it? Which I find interesting, given I'm sitting here wearing makeup as we speak.
Although makeup for men is definitely in, and in just a moment, JK gets creative with her favourite man muse. What's your verdict, Jack? Do you like men in makeup?
I love it. The more the merrier, I think. Everyone should be able to express themselves, but I do think men have a bit of a head start too, because if they've got any flaws, they can just, a bit of stubble and a beard covers it all up.
Yeah, I love a man in eyeliner, always have. It's that kind of rock god kind of vibe about it. I love that. But I agree with you. Being able to express yourself as you wish, it's a beautiful time, and I think being male and masculinity is being redefined as well, which is awesome.
Exactly. And I think back in the day, men, it was just a quick shave, maybe a bit of moisturiser and a bit of hair gel if you were being fancy.
Well, that's right, because now skincare too, why should it just be for the women?
Exactly right. So what we've done is we've sent our beauty expert, Jade K, in with a bit of a beauty masterclass for men.
You know it's always like my favourite day ever when you're doing my glam, right?
Thanks so much.
I'm excited, you're the best. But I want to do like a bright, bold colour because I love a bit of an eye, and because it's you, you're the queen of the cat's eye.
I'm all about a wing, so let's get a coloured wing eye on now. You have the perfect colouring for red. Because you've got these amazing blue eyes, I think it brings them out even more.
Oh, yay.
So not everyone can wear this. Christian, we've created quite a few makeup looks together, and I've often referred to you as my muse.
Oh.
But what's your first memory with beauty?
I remember that I loved Kylie. I mean, I still love Kylie Minogue. And I had her Ultimate Kylie album, and she had this like purple-pink eyeshadow moment. I remember looking at it and being like, wow, like this is speaking to me. And there was like kind of a matching lip moment there, and I just thought that that was like absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I think any form of beauty, where it's fashion, hair, makeup, it's kind of a form of identity, and it's how I choose to express myself in my art form. That's actually the thing that I go to bed thinking about. I'm like, what do I want to do with this look? What do I want to do with my hair and makeup? And that's where I get so excited, because I think that it is wearable art on your face and on your body, and that's just so exciting to me.
Your eye shape is beautiful because it's elongated. However, it is more, you've got a...
hood.
A hood.
Yeah.
That's probably the most asked question we get. Hooded eyes, how do you do it? Look forward in a mirror, so don't look down, try and do it, and then look up. I like to sketch it out on the outside and kind of do it to the halfway mark, and then meet it and follow from the inner eye to the outer eye.
I love a bold colour like this because I can go out in a kind of basic outfit like this and still feel cute, or I can be like full glam, full like outfit that's like full of sparkles.
That's why I love doing your glam, because not only do you have fun with it, you wear it confidently.
And to any occasion. Like this could honestly be to brunch if I had your skills.
What comes first, the makeup or the fit?
For me, it's kind of a bit of both. I mean, I'll often go through Instagram and screenshot, as you know, a lot of my favourite makeup looks, and I won't necessarily have an outfit or a event planned for that, but then once something comes up and I sort of know what I'm wearing, I'll scroll back through the things that I really love and pair it together.
Yeah, I love
So I
that.
suppose it kind of is like a chicken and egg situation, like both of them.
Yes, they both affect the other one.
Yeah.
I feel like I could guess this in particular, but what are you loving in the makeup space right now?
Well, yeah, you would know because we work together a lot, and it's always the same thing, but I love a colourful eye.
Really?
I'm always decked out in colour, and I love a really bright pop of colour on the eyes.
And it makes you happy.
It makes you happy, and it makes other people happy.
It does.
Every time that I have like a pink eye, not pink eye, but of like pink eyeshadow, I have so many people come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, I love it, it's so much fun, I wish I did something like that, and I love that engagement with people as well.
So for those at home who have a basic makeup kit, need to invest in some good makeup, what is your advice?
This is so boring. I actually think if you're only going to invest in one thing, if you're foundation inclined, make it a good one. Because a bad foundation is so bad. And it's just find one that works. It doesn't necessarily need to be expensive, but one that really like matches your skin and goes on well is so important. But also like in terms of something fun.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
What about a fun product?
I love a like glitter liquid eyeliner.
Yeah, me too.
It's
Me
just,
too.
it's so like, you can do different things with it. You can either like just go around the waterline, you can kind of go up a little bit. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit jazzy, I'll do it on my eyebrows. You know, everything that I do, I try to inject fun into it because I think we're so lucky to get to do what we do.
We are.
So we might as well enjoy it as well.
And that's why we have fun together.
Exactly.
Yay.
That was Jacqui there, Jack, with her great friend, Christian Wilkins, showing us how it's done. Her former contestant on Dancing with the Stars. Hey, makeup for men is becoming a seriously big business, Jack.
It really is. I know you don't mind a bit of foundation for the show, Das, but yes, it's a multi-billion-dollar business and it's only going to get bigger.
A lot of that is made up of fragrances and aftershaves. And I think of my teenage years, Jack, where the only option was Old Spice, which it's come a long way since then.
Well, thankfully it has. Michael Jordan, Michael Bublé, even Snoop Dogg. They've all got their own fragrances. And now we can add Australian singer and TV star and family man Guy Sebastian to the list.
Guy, thanks so much for having us. I got to start off by saying, how's the vibe in this room? I feel like I'm in a film clip for some like 60s movie or whatnot.
It's pretty cool. Look, all the styling and everything centred around the fragrance.
You've talked in past interviews about your love of fragrances. What do they represent for you?
I've always loved fragrances personally. Like I've got a lot, and I travel a lot. So you know, you go to different airports, and it's a way to kill time sometimes. Yeah. So I think maybe that was the thing that got me a little bit obsessed on trying to find my signature kind of world of fragrance. And when I say signature, you know, it is very much a really personal thing for everyone, and that's what I love about it. You know, music's the same thing and fashion's the same thing. I always relate it back to the feeling I used to get from my dad. I just remember my dad would be going out for work in the morning, I'd be getting ready for school, and there'd just be this lingering scent around the house, and that represents my dad, who's taking care of us all and going out to work, and that always has shaped me for how I view fragrances. Like, how does it make me feel?
It's no surprise that you're finally coming out with your own, titled Embrace. Now, I believe there's a bit of a romantic story. Can you share that?
Embrace, it's a feminine sense, so it's designed for my wife, Jules. And I wanted to create something that was for her, and it represents how I feel about her. And when you talk about an embrace, it's such a powerful expression of love, and I'm that person. Jules knows that more than anyone. Like, my love language is touch and affection and kind words and all that sort of stuff, and I think a scent is so powerful in that way as well. That was a tough one because she's also quite picky with the fragrance that she wears. It can't just be too fruity and too spicy, so I had to kind of find something that ticks a few different boxes that she likes. I wanted to ground it and earth it in stuff that I love, and I've always loved leather, tobacco, oud, some of those really earthy scents that just ground it. So there's red currant, there's vanilla orchid, but for me the thing that gives it a bit of richness and that kind of lingering earthy effect is actually the amber wood.
I love also that the bottle itself represents what you're telling us now. It really embodies what you're trying to convey with the scent. Can you describe the packaging and how that came about?
Yeah, look, I guess that's very heavily skewed towards Jules's loves as well. She is very minimalist, you know, in our home, in all the designs, interior, exterior. We like a feeling of being able to digest something really easily. But in saying that, it also needs to have some kind of DNA to it. You want it to be recognisable, very much like a song.
You got to tell me, what was Jules's response when she found out that you'd actually dedicated Embrace to her?
She's so used to getting things dedicated to her because I've written most of my songs about her. We've been together for 23 years, so she's my biggest source of inspiration because she is just, you know, my biggest source for everything. We've shared so much life together, so I'm waiting for my fragrance now from her. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be really awkward if Jules didn't do a fragrance in return.
You would think that's the natural progression.
People from all around the globe have developed healthcare systems to support their health, vitality and well-being for thousands of years. And there's a lot we can learn from these cultures to support our health holistically. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's said that qi, or life force energy, animates the body and is important to help us strengthen and heal. And if we're lacking qi, it can make us feel run down. Astragalus is a highly prized herb. It's been used for a really long time. In fact, in traditional Chinese medicine and Western herbal medicine, it's been used for over 2,000 years. The root of the plant is said to be a qi tonic in traditional Chinese medicine, and it helps replenish our qi. In traditional Chinese medicine, astragalus has got a wide range of benefits. It's used to support our immune defences and decrease the frequency of the common cold. It provides support to the immune system to fight illness, plus it helps support our vitality. And it's an adaptogen, which means it helps our body cope with stress. Including astragalus is as simple as sourcing a supplement either in tablet or liquid form. Look for it in combination with other valuable herbs such as reishi mushroom and Siberian ginseng. The herbal world really is a great example of ancient wisdom meeting modern medicine. It's the best of both worlds.
So, Joe, I want to ask you this question. How do you go with home remedies? I can picture you growing some aloe vera for Willow in case she gets some sunburn, or maybe a bit of peppermint tea.
I think you know the answer to that, Darcy. That's not really me. I do love a homemade cleaning solution, though, because there is nothing you can't clean without good old white vinegar.
Really?
Oh, it's the best. Got to get around that. And in our house, we're really passionate about eliminating soft plastics as well. And I was really devastated recently when the supermarket stopped collecting soft plastics.
Horrible story, that. I know councils around Australia are trying to work on a solution to solve that. Let's hope that happens pretty quickly. In the meantime, researchers in Melbourne are closing in on a solution that we're hoping is going to solve the packaging and food waste problem at the same time, Joe.
This is brilliant. It's a two birds, one stone approach where we're taking food waste such as celery, lettuce, peas, zucchini and turning it into compostable packaging. So fantastic. You've got no food waste and you've got no plastics in landfill.
Brilliant it is, Joe. So biopackaging, you're going to hear that a lot, is going to become a massive growth industry, and that race to try and eradicate plastics from our life, really worthwhile pursuit, I think.
It's so exciting, Das, but of course the best way to eliminate waste is to buy beautiful, fresh food that you can cook easily at home, which is why Hines and Zoe always have us hook, line and sinker.
I've been in the nutrition space for quite some time now, Zoe, and there is no ingredient quite like salmon. It is the most super of all the superfoods.
And it's incredibly versatile, Luke, which we will prove at our AM versus PM challenge. Show me how you'll make your breakfast dish out of this fish.
Well, I've already got started on my bangin' breakfast bagel, and I see you are on dinner duties.
Not just any dinner duty, hot smoked salmon with Asian salsa verde and slaw. Now that we're into it, I want to see why you think this salmon is so superior.
Well, that's easy, Zoe. I only need one letter, B, for vitamin B. And out of the 8 water-soluble B vitamins, salmon has 6 of them.
The B vitamins perform important functions across the body, such as energy production and stress, and as we know, they're so interconnected.
I hear you. And if you've ever felt stressed, like we all have, you tend to feel more burnt out and fatigued, which therefore increases your stress levels. It's a vicious cycle.
And that's where B vitamins come in. Vitamins B1 and B12 actually help to convert glucose into energy.
Hey, don't forget my favourites, vitamin B2, B3 and B5, which help support energy production inside each cell.
And vitamin B5 is such a great multitasker for stress. It supports nervous system health, helping our body cope with environmental stress, promoting a healthy response.
Are you overwhelmed with all of the vitamin Bs yet? You got room for one more? Okay, vitamin B6. It helps support healthy emotional balance.
There's a lot to take in here, but all you really need to know is by eating a balanced, diverse diet, you'll get all the Bs you need.
We can also turn to supplement form to support all our energy and stress needs.
Now, Lukey, I really do love salmon, but why is working with me superior?
I think it's all about association. You are so fantastic that simply by being near you, it's like a magnetic effect.
Oh, I love you.
Oh, 7 fingers! 7 fingers!
Get Nourished is brought to you by Go Healthy's Pro Activated B Complex, a convenient, high-strength, one-a-day formulation to help support a healthy stress response in the body.
A lot of today on the House of Wellness has been about ageing well.
Yes, just like Bobby from Portugal, who has just been crowned the world's oldest living dog by the Guinness Book of Records in February when he reached 30 years and 266 days.
We're obsessed with Bobby. And you know what? He's not just the oldest living dog currently. He's the oldest living dog ever. He broke an almost 100-year record, which was previously set by a 29-year-old Australian cattle dog called, would you believe it, Bluey.
You've heard me talk a lot about Dennis, our blue staffy, who turns 8 in a couple of months' time. I'd love him to get to 29. I feel just almost beside myself at the thought that he's not going to be part of our household at some stage.
Now, where would we be without the intuition of dogs? Because according to the researchers in the UK, their ability to detect our emotions is down to their incredible sense of smell, and they can detect changes in our breath and sweat when we're upset or stressed.
And now there's a new push to keep pets in nursing homes, and you can imagine how important that would be if you're ageing.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about the fact that loneliness is such a big problem, particularly with those of our senior community. Having a little loved one there with a little furry friend to keep them company is so important. And, of course, the bond that they have. I hope this happens.
There's nothing much better for me than to cuddle on the couch with my dogs, Sam and Rosie.
And you know, Nick, that if you haven't experienced that love of a dog, it's very hard to describe. It is a bit of a game changer in any household. That's all we've got time for today.
You can keep an eye out for our May Wellness Lift Out, which has a focus on women's health.
Check out myself and Gerald Quigley on House of Wellness Radio every Sunday.
As always, thanks to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll see you next time.